I killed myself, metaphorically, 8 months before my 30th birthday. I woke up in the morning, I looked in the mirror, and I really didn't recognize the person staring back at me. Put some anxiety medicine on my tongue, and I kicked my head back, washing it down, not only with water, but with so much self-loathing you could feel it in the room. I was tired of living a life that felt like it was an act. I was tired of listening to the way other people told me I should define success and told me what I should want for myself, instead of listening to what I knew deep down were my true passions and my purpose. So with my eyes locked back with that stranger in the mirror, I made the decision to erase that version of myself and get to work building a new one. Now, a moment like that does not happen all at once, and my journey started about 3 years prior when I started my podcast. It was a similar instant decision, really no cool story there other than I just decided one day, let's take a try at this. I wanted to try being a creator, not just being a consumer, and so I started the show. Now, I'm over 200 episodes in, and I've interviewed just about as many people from all over the world and across the country. People who have been on TV shows like Chopped and Shark Tank, best-selling authors, top entrepreneurs, and average Joes like you and me. And I've learned that no matter who we are or what we've accomplished, we all have those mirror moments in our journeys. These moments that define us that nobody else can see but us. And that brings us to our unseen work. So, what is unseen work? It doesn't matter who we are, what we have accomplished, we all have those unseen moments along our journeys. And I'll argue that what we do with those moments, how we show up when no one is watching and no one else but us cares, will have a higher bearing on our chances for success than any act performed in the spotlight. Which brings me to my idea worth spreading. We have to do the unseen work so that when we are seen, we have something to show for it. Over my hundreds of episodes and years of personal development experiences on me, I've come to define 3 main types of unseen work: generational unseen work, active unseen work, and passive unseen work. These 3 categories fit snugly under the umbrella of our mindset, which is the ultimate unseen tool and asset. The only reason any of us even have the opportunity to pursue our own dreams is because of those who came before us. This is generational unseen work. It's the foundation that each of our lives is built upon. To unearth our own unseen work, generationally, I suggest that you sit down with members of your family and ask them some real pointed questions about who they are and their most memorable life moments. Ask them questions about them as a person, not as the authoritative title you've come to know them as. Talk to them about who they are, not mom, dad, grandma, or grandfather, right? The actual person and who they were before they got that title and that role and who they are now. And as you're talking to them, take notes, because chances are you'll begin to see pieces of yourself in their stories. That's exactly what happened to me and how I came up with this idea. So when I interviewed my parents and grandparents for the podcast, and I learned deeper details about who they are and what it was like for them growing up. So through hearing their stories and this newfound awareness for myself of generational unseen work, I had a whole new appreciation for the way they brought me up and how who they are has had a powerful impact on who I am in this world. So once we know who we are, how we've gotten here, based on everything that happened yesterday with the generations that come before us, we get to decide where we want to go next, which brings us to active unseen work. Active unseen work is a knowing focus on and pursuit of a specific goal. It takes place when we're aware of the fact that we're on a journey towards a well-defined end. We're starting at point B, there's a point A, there's a point B in the future, and it's pretty much a straight line in between. So active unseen work is what we typically think of goal setting, right? So this was a big goal for me today, giving this TED Talk. And so you can think of some of the active unseen work that I had to go through to get here that you'll never see. You can't see me struggle with whether or not to apply, or my sheer joy at hearing that I've been chosen to present. You don't see me walking the dog and dictating ideas for the speech into my phone, or me on the treadmill at the gym typing feverishly as a new thought entered my brain. You don't see the late nights or the early mornings and the months spent reciting these words to commit them to memory. You just see me here, now. And all those other things never would have entered your mind had I not placed them there. So active unseen work being between point A and point B, sometimes it's not a straight line to get there, which brings us to passive unseen work. Since active unseen work begins with that end in mind, passive unseen work is when we simply choose to begin without knowing where it might take us. It's the seemingly unrelated lessons and experiences that, when added together, can produce a significant preparedness for a moment in time that we never knew would arrive. These are those hindsight is 20/20 moments of our lives. As we look back on trials, tribulations, and triumphs, we can see clearly how they've all passively compounded to bring us to our current levels of success. I've learned to love passive unseen work the most because it's relishing the journey you're on. When we're lucky enough to fall in love with the process, it doesn't really matter if we actually achieve that original goal we set out to accomplish, because along the way we achieve something even greater than we could have ever imagined. But this idea of falling in love with the process clashes with the way society trains us to focus on the next chapter instead of enjoying the one that we're currently in. We're often told to leave the past in the past and to keep looking and pushing forward. But the past is what makes us who we are in this very moment. And without a keen appreciation for the present moment, we end up approaching new things backwards. We focus on getting to that 100% difference or 100% better all at once instead of putting in the unseen work to make it happen. In reality, that 100% fluctuation takes 1% increases each and every day. We want to be seen so badly that we put ourselves in the spotlight before we're ready, we fail. It's what we do with that failure that makes all the difference, especially when no one is watching. So today I invite you to leverage your newfound awareness of this idea of unseen work to flip your mindsets and your view of failure. To look forward to failure as a blessing and as a tool. When I say flip, I mean F-L-I-P. Fail, learn, improvise, pivot. When we can flip our failures, we turn weaknesses into strengths and forge ourselves into stronger beings who are better prepared for our next challenges. When we can do that, it's really not failure at all. It's just a setback along the journey. We adapt and we pivot, moving on, wiser for our previous attempts. Sometimes we can't flip. And in those cases, we often flop, as in F-L-O-P, fail, lie, obsess, pretend. When we flop, we deny the failure, we point fingers at others, try to sweep it under the rug, and just rationalize it all away. In this way, if we keep flopping, we're doomed to remain unseen forever. The best example of the patience that comes with the flip doesn't come from any one person, but can be found in Mother Nature. It can be found with bamboo. So if you were to plant a bamboo seed yourself, it could take up to 5 years of watering and soil cultivation before you saw any sprouting begin. During this time, your neighbors, your friends, and family might laugh and question why you're wasting your time on something that's obviously not working. And why would they? You'd be watering a patch of dirt, clearing away leaves, pulling weeds for 5 years with nothing green above the surface. If it was anybody else, you'd be whispering under your breath too. But when 5 years and 1 day comes along, that plant, which has been growing an extensive root system beneath the surface for those 5 seemingly uneventful years, can grow to be up to 80 feet tall in just 6 weeks. 80 feet in 6 weeks. It's the unseen work that happens beneath the soil that propels and sustains that exponential growth. Now your neighbors, your friends, and your family are all going to want their own bamboo. Instead of laughing at you, they're going to want to know how you did it. They're all going to want to replicate your overnight success. When it comes to being successful, another thing we've all heard is that you can do anything you put your mind to. But I believe that this idea at face value is a complete lie. It's a rationalization created by the floppers, which makes it seem like it's acceptable to just sit on the couch and think our dreams into existence. In reality, if we're going to put our minds to something, that means taking some serious, disciplined action. If we were just think about growing a bamboo tree, but didn't put in the disciplined routine and work to make it a reality, we would never know the joy and pride of standing next to that 80-foot plant. And the same is true in everything that we do. If we don't put in the unseen work to get there, we end up developing new and deeper rationalizations for why we fail to achieve our goals. And while this is happening, it's very easy to point fingers at others and focus on those external voices and sources of negativity, but in reality, it's our internal dialogues that can be the most damning. These unseen thoughts are the most common type of unseen work, the things we tell ourselves and no one else. These unseen thoughts affect our unseen beliefs affect our unseen actions, and those unseen actions determine our level of success and whether or not we are seen. So in this way, if we don't flip our mindsets, then our mindsets, they end up flipping us. So the best way to illustrate this, its effect of the unseen thoughts, is to invite you all to put some of that unseen work in together right now. So I'd ask you all please to close your eyes, and I'll do it with you. So just close your eyes and visualize some big goal that you have for yourself. This would be something so big that it almost feels insurmountable. It's the metaphorical bamboo plant that you've been trying to grow. So when you can see it clearly, ask yourself, who will you have to become to make it a reality? What unseen work will it take to get there? What's some unseen work you perhaps have already done, but didn't realize it could apply to this goal until today? Up until this point, when you've encountered failure, have you been a flip or flop type of person? And which would you like to be known as moving forward? And finally, think about that goal, see it clearly. How is it going to feel when you finally achieve it? All right, let's open our eyes. So I want you to realize that if you feel alone in this pursuit, whatever it is you saw for yourself, you're not. You're just unseen, and that's okay. Use this invisibility to your advantage and fail as much as you can and as fast as you can. But keep growing, keep persisting, keep creating that extensive root system beneath the surface. Flip your failures to work for you instead of against you. Perhaps the most beautiful thing about your unseen work is that it belongs wholly and solely to you. No one else can pass judgment on it. It can't be weighed, measured, or compared against some arbitrary system. These moments are pure, and they should be guarded and treasured. As you leave here today, I want you to harness all of your unseen work to step forward with confidence, and remember that you have to do the unseen work so that when you are seen, you have something to show for it. Thank you.